Hey everyone, Temporal here, and today we have something a little odd. We were about to review patch notes, and then they pulled the patch notes. They were up here, hit the refresh button, they pulled them. They were previously on the live, maybe that was the mistake, and the fact that they made it this far to the point where they actually got posted, even if they then got pulled later, suggests that most of them are likely going to happen. Maybe they were supposed to go to the PTR rather than the live section, and that's why they got pulled. Maybe they saw them and made one final decision of, hey, last second, we don't actually like what Reinhardt's Earthshatter does in this, so let's pull that one. Or maybe there's one more change that we want to include, something like that. But these are the patch notes that we know about, so we'll go ahead and cover them and what they mean. So the first thing that we see here is for Moira, can now jump much higher when using this ability. That's still not utility. I'm sorry, that still does not fix the hero's fundamental issue, and it's like, yes, let's make the hero have a little bit more vertical accessibility. Like, that's cool, don't get me wrong, it's a raw power buff, having a little bit more utility, a bit more ability to go vertical, does make the hero stronger, just like making the hero do 15 more health per second with her healing would make the hero stronger. Like, there's things that you can do that just raw make Moira stronger, but Moira's issue is that she generally lacks utility, and unfortunately, we're not going to be fixing that by causing her to jump higher. I'm sorry, it's not the fix. So, it's cool, it potentially gives her a little bit more flexibility, and that maybe she can go a little bit more vertical, maybe it'll make her synergy with Winston a little bit stronger, and that she'll be able to follow Winston vertically on a few more dives. Really, the place that she sees the most high level play right now is in a Winston brawl, a 6-man or a talent dive type composition where you're looking at Winston plus Diva plus Moira plus Lucio, and then probably some combination of Tracer, Reaper, Sombra, maybe Echo. We've seen that sort of thing when certain heroes are banned, and it just sort of becomes a, let's throw 6 people at them as if it's a brawl, but we're using dive heroes so that we can force the brawl very quickly, but still have a powerful brawl because, hey, Moira can heal this nice collapsed area. And she'll be able to go a little more vertical. Doesn't really help in this specific comp because Tracer and Sombra already have some verticality issues. Yes, I suppose they have less than Moira does, but there's already enough there that, yeah, this helps her. Yeah, this makes her a little better of a hero, but like, there's fundamentally a design issue with Moira, and this just isn't going to, from a raw power standpoint, make her powerful enough that now this alone changes her place in the meta. So, little bit better individually, a little bit better for her flexibility. Still not nearly flexible enough to be a generalist, and not going to make any real changes to her. I don't think this is enough of a raw numbers change to overpower her lack of utility. Earthshatter now deals an additional 200 damage when within 1.75 of the impact area. So this just kind of bugs me, because this is exactly what I was concerned about when we saw the last... So last time we had sort of a meme patch of like, oh, let's have a meme patch, it'll just be for fun. And coming out of that was our Diva remech as a second ult, and it eliminates people that, we kind of raised our eyebrows at. I know some people are a big fan of that. I don't really think she needed it. I think it was supposed to be a drawback of Diva that, hey, you're stuck in pilot form and you're more staggerable. She is a really good hero, guys, and she needs that drawback. Like, the take that she would be a stronger hero if she didn't have the second life, if she got eliminated when her mech was destroyed, isn't necessarily a terrible take. That would be a little worse in situations where she's already pre-charged her ult and she'd like to use her ult for a second life. You'd have to rework her ult, that sort of thing. But like, she sort of needed that as balance. So why am I talking about that? Well, because this clearly is the same thing, where Earthshatter is now going to deal additional damage if you're right near where the hammer comes down onto the ground. Why is it going to do this? Because it sounds cool, because it seems cool, rule of cool. Not because it's good for balance. I mean, Reinhardt does need a little help, don't get me wrong. But this is probably not where we'd have gone for our, yes, let's cause this area near where the hammer hit the ground to do lethal amounts of damage to squishies. Why? Like, yes, now if you're close to a squishy, if you're close to a Cassidy and he doesn't have a flash, I suppose Cassidy has the wrong amount of health. If you are close to a, let me think of a squishy, soldier, yeah, you can hit Shatter and instantly take him out before he gets away. Not instantly, but basically instantly take him out. Hey, that's cool. Reinhardt can certainly use the buff. Anything that allows you to more consistently lock in eliminations with your ult is going to be a buff, and Reinhardt is not in a terribly good place right now. So it's not like the worst thing in the world, but it's kind of just a meme rule of cool change. And I don't know, I don't really feel like we needed it. I feel like there's other things that would have made more sense. Like, if we felt Reinhardt needed to be more powerful again, why are we not giving him back the extra 50 armor that he's had at some points? Why are we not giving him a little bit more shield? I'm not really sure that we needed Earthshatter to happen. If we want Earthshatter to be better, there's ways to do that. The ways to make Earthshatter better probably have more to do with increase the size of it, decrease the amount of time it takes to get the ult, increase the amount of base damage. I don't really think 200 extra damage on it is great. That said, it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't think this is some, like, oh my goodness, how dare they, it's terrible, what are we ever gonna do? Like, we'll deal, it's fine. More consistent eliminations for Reinhardt, it's a reasonable buff. Okay. Audio settings are a bit better, but now the heat just started running, so now I'm sure you can hear the heat, and I'm sorry about that. I'm working on it. I don't have a good way to currently with my settings and, you know, without using some third-party program, and I haven't found the right one yet. It's certainly not the one that came with the system, to increase the sound pickup threshold without just decreasing the volume in total, which isn't really what I want to do. So I'm still working on it. I think it's a bit better. I'm still working on making it better. It's a process, unfortunately. Okay. So here we go. Then we go over to Storm Arrow. Arrows ricochet once upon impact. Who thinks Hanzo needs buffs? Show of hands. Anyone in the class? Does anyone think Hanzo needs buffs? Yeah, I didn't think so. Guys, Hanzo has never not been good since he got Storm Arrow and Lunge in the first place. Hanzo just doesn't need buffs. Hanzo is, you know, rarely, like, hard meta. Like, yes, he's one of the best 2 DPS in the game, but he's rarely worse than, like, the 5th best DPS in the game. And considering how big our DPS cast is, like, let's pull up our Overwatch heroes. And let's think about a time when, okay, if we look at our damage dealers, we've got a pretty big damage cast here. And if we think of the different metas that have happened, Tracer's been a #1 sometimes, Echo's been a #1 sometimes, Cassidy's been a #1 sometimes. Okay. Can anyone, okay, other heroes who sometimes appear more than Hanzo? Maybe Symmetra, maybe Sombra, maybe Ashe, maybe Mei, but never all at once. Hanzo's never really been in a position where he's worse than say top 5 for a DPS hero since his rework. And he's pretty comfortable hanging out in like a 3 or a 4 range in terms of the meta and his value. So I really don't see a need to buff him full stop. And also, come on, no one is gonna like this. Like, no one is going to like arrows ricocheting during Storm Arrow. Like, Storm Arrow is already really good, unless we have, and even then, unless we have nerfs to go with Storm Arrow, no one wants to go, okay, so let's see, it's Hanzo, I've got out Lunge, now I'll dive him and he's got Storm Arrow. Okay, fine. Or I got out Storm Arrow, he still has Lunge. Whatever. But, like, now we're also going to have him be even better. Like, he'll be a better anti-sniper, don't get me wrong, if his Storm Arrow bounces, because the synergy between, you know, there's a reason that Scatter Arrow and Sonic Arrow were his 2 original abilities. It made him good, actually. The idea is you were supposed to be good at fighting other snipers. You go, hey, there's a Widow, there's a Zen, there's someone like that over there that's playing behind cover. That's great. They've got themselves some cover. I can Sonic and go, you know, wee, Sonic Arrow, and I can see what's going on there. And then I'll bounce a Scatter Arrow back there, and they'll be unhappy. And that sort of made sense as like an anti-sniper mechanic. Okay. Now, it had lots of problems because, hey, doing 400 plus damage, one-shotting tanks isn't really cool at close range, and we didn't really get rid of that. We sort of went, okay, he's just not going to be quite as good of as an anti-sniper. He's instead we're gonna lean harder sort of into his tank buster thing, but at least the tanks don't quite go down in 100 to 0 instantly. They go down to 100 to 0 over the course of the storm out. So now, like, it costs him nothing, but he's getting better ability to fight snipers back. Why would we do that? He's like, I'm not claiming that he's like the best DPS hero or the best hero in the game and he's incredibly meta shaping. He's not, but like, let me look at the hero cast and think about who needs buffs in the DPS area more than him. She does. She does. He definitely does. He does. He probably does. Would be better off. I know that'll get some ladder hate because Soldier performs so differently. Like, what? Why would we look at Hanzo? Why would we look at Hanzo? And, you know, if I want to get more controversial, I could say that, you know, that and that makes sense as well to give, but definitely that. I totally miss Genji. Like, what? Why would we do this? Sorry, Adam. I know. I didn't expect the heat to turn on, and, you know, this is a timely thing that dropped the patch notes. I kind of have to react to them when they drop. Okay. There we go. Back to our patch notes here. Cassidy, combat roll while in the air. That is a terrible idea. Why would we give Cassidy... Like, it's not the worst thing in the world, but again, it's just not necessary. Like, okay, so Cassidy now can combat roll in the air. Fine. Cassidy can combat roll in the air. That doesn't really... Like... He gets a little bit better mobility. He's not the overpowered hero that he was a while ago. So, you know, since the hit scan nerf, he's been brought back to a reasonable place. I don't necessarily mind that. I don't necessarily mind that he gets a little bit of a buff. I don't necessarily think that he needs it. Aerial combat roll isn't an extreme buff. I don't think it's a particularly good buff. I just design-wise don't particularly like it, but it is not a situation where we look at Cassidy and go, oh my goodness, he is, you know, super overpowered as a result of this. So aerial combat roll, I think it's just a bad buff from a design decision, but I don't think it's going to make him too powerful or anything. Torb, rivet gun, alternate fire. Ammo cost decreased from 3 to 2. That's fine. That's actually reasonably fine. He had some issues where it made sense to spam his primary fire even at close range for ammo reasons, so this doesn't bother me. He's also a character that is okay, reasonably usable, not a meme anymore. A buff to him isn't gonna hurt. Temporal Mascara review when? Okay, Adam. Okay. Have fun with your $1.99 super chat. Thank you for the super chat. And then Wrecking Ball. Grappling Claw now has a maximum grapple time of 6 seconds. Why? Like, I get it. People don't like that he just hangs out in some places, but like, he does have a grappling hook. Is him hanging out in some places that big a deal? Anytime that he's hanging somewhere, or doing like, hey, he's wedged himself up somewhere, but his grappling claw is out as he's doing that, or he's trying to guard a staircase with his grappling claw out. Remember, as soon as he lets go of that grappling claw to do anything, the grappling claw then starts its cooldown. He's not able to sit somewhere with his grappling claw out while the cooldown ticks back. The way that like Winston can jump up into the air and his jump pack cooldown starts when he's here. So as Winston is falling, he's getting cooldown time back off of his jump pack. That's not really how the mechanic works with Wrecking Ball, and I don't think it's that big a deal to have Wrecking Ball have his grappling claw. How do I want to put this? I don't think it's that big a deal to have Hammond able to just sit places locked on there. I don't think it's the end of the world. It does break some techs that Wrecking Ball players have spent a lot of time learning how to get to places, how to sit on them, how to go, hey, I'm sitting up here, I'm going to start the match with a pile drive, or I'm fox guarding like the Numbani staircase and I can just stay grappled here forever. Like, it does do some of those things that hurt a little bit, and we don't particularly love that. He is one of the better tanks right now. I really don't think he's overpowered, but he is one of the better tanks right now, so I suppose I can understand where you'd go with this. I just don't think that it was a particularly frustrating thing to play into there. Maybe other people think otherwise. So if we look at this, overall, I'll catch up on chat in just a second. This is a buff to a hero that can use buffs. Doesn't really bother me. It's not the right buff. This is a buff to a hero that can use buffs. Doesn't really bother me, but it's not the right buff. This is stupid and should not go through in terms of it is a hero who doesn't need a buff. This is the wrong buff, but it's a buff to a hero that's, I'd say, pretty middle of the pack right now. Doesn't really bother me. Similar thing here. This one actually, this is probably the least objectionable thing I see on here. This right here. This is like, hey, I don't even think you've hit the wrong thing. I think it's reasonable to do this buff. And then here is a nerf to a character who is one of the more played tanks right now. I don't think it's the right nerf. I actually don't think he needs a nerf at all. I think he's not carrying the meta. So I look at this and go, if this patch happens, because again, we had this weird situation, unless the patch notes are back up, which they could be at this point, where these patch notes went up, they sat there for maybe 45 minutes, something like that, and then they got pulled down. They're probably going to come back up. They'll probably work their way over to experimental. They probably got wrongly posted in the live section, but we will see. Maybe they reacted within 45 minutes to a negative outcry, and that's why they got pulled down. But if these are the patches that we're getting, the patch notes that we're getting, can definitely see the inspiration from the creator content thing, though we also know that they weren't responsible for all of that. They did some of the changes and the devs worked in some of their own changes in that one that they wanted to test under their creator's name, which was a really weird thing to do. But I don't like these patch notes. I don't think they do anything like to destroy the meta, to make it terrible. This is not going to tank Wrecking Ball's pick rate. That's not going to change the meta. This is not going to make Cassidy a god tier hero and go, okay, we're back to Cassidy just running everything. Let's have lots of Cassidy bat brawl. This is, I don't think, going to make 6-man just propel itself back into the meta and go, hey, let's play this all the time everywhere. If we look at this, I mean, we did go, this is a brawl here that got upgraded. This is an anti-dive here that got upgraded. This is usually a brawl here that got upgraded. This is usually a brawl here that got upgraded, but really it's only played in brawl dive hybrid. So we'd look at this and go, hey, should we be worried about a little bit more brawl creep? Is brawl gonna work its way a bit harder back into the meta? I don't think so. I don't seriously think so. The balance is pretty tight with the Zen Ball comp mostly coming out on top right now, so it's possible that little changes could do it. I don't think they will here, though. I think the single biggest change we see is this Hanzo Storm Arrow, and that does need watching. That could, by itself, basically propel us into either a sniper poke meta or into a, hey, you have to play dive because Hanzo's dangerous and his biggest vulnerability is organized dives. Yeah, that's what I'd say looking at this. Okay, let's go ahead and take another look here. Let's catch up on chat. If people have questions, throw them up here. I will get into this. I can also look at some of what other people have said on the Reddit post here. They already reverted the changes. I don't know about that. Like, they've pulled the changes from their post, but that's probably because they got posted to the wrong place, or maybe because they're adding or pulling one thing. But maybe. We'll see. I'll update the title if I have to. For now, we've got it as a maybe. So I can use Shatter to burst down enemy Rhines? Sort of. It's still going to be blockable. Like, it'll help, I suppose, but it's still blockable. You can still pin a Rhine to mess up his Shatter. He can still mess you up with... Yeah. They only had 5 months to work on this patch. You can't expect it to go well. They might have been a little distracted during those 5 months. This is mostly bad. I hear you, Semitic. I don't particularly like these changes. The changes aren't terribly significant. This is a meme. This is a meme and powerful. This is actually significant. I don't like this, but we'll see. All the other changes are fine in my opinion. Even the Rein buff, the Hanzo change is what destroys the whole thing for you. What a joke. So, keep in mind, when it comes to ricocheting shots, there is some level of practice. When you see Sigmas, Junkrats, it's usually not that they ricochet that first shot perfectly. They use that first shot for information, they adjust, and then they hit the second, the third, the fourth shot, whatever the case may be there. And Storm Arrow certainly gives you enough arrows to do that, but he is having to use a cooldown to do it. And it's not actually Scatter Arrow, where he fires it and it just finds ways to connect after you find it around the corner. You are going to have to get the angle right to bounce your Storm Arrow for it to really be that dangerous, and Storm Arrow does not one-shot. That said, it is going to be annoying as players get good at it. It is going to be, oh, someone took damage, they retreated behind cover, and then you pop Storm Arrow, and you quickly bounce your shots off the back wall there, and you try to finish them off before they're healed up and their cover doesn't work. It is going to make him very good in poke v poke, an anti-poke poke hero. We know they have the code to let Moira cleanse the slow with damage orb from the last experimental, but they still want to throw useless things like this. And that's the issue, because eventually they'll discover that stacking a bunch of useless things like this still isn't going to make her viable unless you just make her raw, simply powerful. And if you then make her raw, simply powerful, you'll either get so raw, simply powerful that she just works because her numbers are just too good, or you won't quite get her that far, and then you'll try to actually finally give her some utility, and she'll be incredibly overpowered because she has a bunch of utility and she has pretty darn good raw numbers behind it. With the extra 200 damage, squish Diva and Zarya bubbles? Not really, Kongix, because the way it works is a Zarya bubble that has 1 HP left can still absorb a 200 damage shot. So a Zarya bubble could absorb, let's see, if you were to take, let me think of a damage value. You could have 1 HP left, take a 200 damage shot, and you could have absorbed a total of 399 damage with a single bubble, as long as it's the last hit that was 200 damage there. Damage doesn't bleed through bubbles like that. Yeah, I think I've explained this one. RFN, Blizzard pulled their patch notes. We'd put together this video. It literally pulled about 2 minutes before I went live for this. So we're still covering them because they're clearly something that did exist. And if they made it at all onto this patch notes page and then got pulled down, they were passed to some team to put up here. And then the team either put them in the wrong place, or they decided, wait, no, pull it back, we want to make a change. Or maybe they saw negative community reception, but that seems really unlikely that they changed based on that. So I suspect we're still going to see something like this either go experimental or go live. It might be 1 or 2 things different, but something very close to this. I'm not on board with the roll buff. The Wrecking Ball change is pretty much only a quality of life change for metal ranks. Yeah, that's probably really what it's aimed at. It's aimed at, hey, spin to win is annoying, but spin to win really isn't that big a deal. I immediately went to like fox guarding staircases and using text to put yourself up above a choke that the opponents have to walk through. Those things actually require some work, and I don't really like taking away the skills that ball players have had to go to learn the maps to figure out how can I roll myself just right to get myself with a tether extended just the right way to sit above a choke, that sort of thing. But hey, it's not the first time Blizzard has betrayed skills that have been built up like that. It's probably mostly to get rid of spin to win. And the thing is, Ball's not powerful. Ball's quite powerful in high ranks, but Ball's not like some massive win rate hero in low ranks. I wonder if Brig can still truly block Shatter. My guess is yes, but it destroys her shield. Right, that's how it'll work. It'll destroy her shield. Even if she has 1 HP left, her shield can block the Shatter. It's just, her shield will then be gone. Hanzo did not need a buff. No. Hanzo has been a totally powerful enough hero ever since he got Lunge and Storm Arrow. I'm not going to lie, Temporal. I don't get how Hanzo is in harder meta. Like, I get he is more sad than he used to be at long range, but he is still terrifying at close to mid-range with a solid ult. Yeah, basically. It took people a while to figure out that his ult was pretty solid. I think most people would have been like, it's a weak ult. It's not that weak of an ult. Utility ults, it's basically like a different style of Simwall, and Simwall is one of the best DPS ults. But he does have to work a little bit harder to position to make it work. Scatter Arrow is for real. It's not specifically Scatter Arrow, it's Storm Arrow bouncing, so you can call that a little bit of thumbnail bait if you want there, Magdalena. But yes, Storm Arrow now ricochets once upon impact. If this patch that has been pulled down from the Play Overwatch site goes through, yeah, a version of it is real. If they want Hanzo to be anti-sniper, it needs to be worse at other things, for sure. Semitic says, honestly, I don't want to buff Widow. Temporal may think of me as plat chat for it, but I don't think a hero like Widow should exist in Overwatch. It's fine. You can not think that a hero like Widow should exist in Overwatch. Having a sniper that can one-shot is sort of a staple of FPS, and they wanted part of the FPS crowd, so they were going to have it. And their current version of her almost doesn't have her because she's not all that useful on too many maps because that health nerf really, really did just dumpster her. And you could just leave it like that, but you sort of have a Bastion-like hero that in a lot of ways doesn't get used. Yes, she still sees some specialist use, specialized maps, points, etc. Okay. Can't believe these patch notes are for real. Where is Arissa Christmas hat? Right? What else do we have? This is just it feels bad when ball spins on point change. I agree. Was there scared of annoying the mechanical skill crowd? I don't know what that's in reference to. With the grappling claw, not liking spin to win. I'm not sure where you're going with that. I think they took it down because Storm Arrow was bugged to go through shields. That could do it. And if that causes this to go away, that would be permanently, that would be a significant improvement to this patch. It still wouldn't be a terribly good patch. I think the best change in it is this right here. But that would make it a better patch. It would make the game less worse if this didn't go through. I think it's just the idea of buffing Storm Arrow in the first place. Hanzo doesn't need buffs. Full stop. You can't buff Hanzo without compensating nerf him. Like, you have to nerf him in some way if you're going to buff him. It does not make sense to go, hey, let's make Hanzo stronger. What? So Halt plus Shatter is a legit combo now? Sort of, yeah, but there's still plenty of ways to block Shatter. Zarya Bubble, Rein Shield, Brig Shield, Flashbang the Rein, Bash the Rein. There's plenty to stop him. Boop the Rein away. Okay, it's because Storm Arrow was able to go through shield. So do we have an official announcement for that now? Okay. I see at least one hog in every game. Buff, rush, and dive make him not fit. The reality is that doesn't necessarily make him go away. Yes, he is technically a poke hero, but ladder is ladder, and ladder is going to do ladder things. In ladder, you don't see full brawl comps, full dive comps, full poke comps. You see messy comps, and he'll find his way to exist because he's a very independent hero. He can play okay even if the rest of the comp doesn't really fit him. Orisa should just get the Xmas hat every year when the winter maps come online. There you go. Hog is just an awfully mid-tank. Pretty much. Andy B posted in the forums. Okay, let's pull it up. If we can get the Blizzard forums there. Okay. Someone posted in the Discord maybe? That would be faster if I could pull it up there. No. No one's posted in the Discord. Okay, let's take a look here. Announcements, maybe? No. Just Blizzard Tracker. That's got to do it. 27 minutes ago. Okay, I'll pull this up for you. Okay, so what we are looking at here is... Okay. Hi folks, we're reverting today's update so that we can fix an issue with Hanzo's Storm Arrow not properly being blocked by shield abilities. At this time, we do not have an ETA on when the patch will be live again. Apologies for anyone who may have been affected by this issue. Okay, so they are going to go live with this patch, and it's going to happen, and these are the patch notes. We've reverted the patch due to this bug. Apologies to anyone negatively affected by this. Sorry, Hanzo mains, your reign of terror was brief but horrifying. What do you mean? It's still going to be terrifying, even if it doesn't go through shields. Each of these changes were in an experimental card previously, albeit with some differences. Okay, so this is going to go live. This is going to go live. They just have to figure out what they're going to do with Hanzo. And they don't understand that Hanzo is already plenty powerful and really does not need buffs. And that just makes me sad. So yeah, this is happening. Why not make Storm Arrow go through shields, give him 2 buffs? Oh yeah, totally. Why not just have Hanzo Supremacy? Honestly, malding a little right now. This is going to be a thing. This is a bad patch. This is a bad patch, and I'm not super hopeful because the patch that we got before this that they didn't go live with was, what, like the Junkrat Torb patch? Also wasn't a terribly good patch. So we've had a pretty good game state for about a year now, but it just looks to me like they don't actually know what to do with this game state that doesn't just make it worse. So that's not a good sign. Remember, the Junkrat Torb patch didn't actually go through. We had a funny content creator patch since then, and a lot of this stuff is from the funny content creator patch. Yeah. That's not a particularly good sign for, oh, they've got a real firm grasp on balance. That said, maybe it's all fine because Overwatch 2 and these changes make more sense in the world of Overwatch 2. Maybe. We can hold out hope. So Moira Fade Jump is actually good now. We don't know how much higher she can go while using it, but probably. It's going to help her. It'll make her stronger. I don't think it's going to have a significant difference on her use rate or the meta, though. Yeah. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. This is real. This is going to happen as soon as they figure out how to fix the Hanzo bug where Storm Arrow is going through shields. And again, if I look at this from a coaching perspective, I do see quite a few buffs to heroes that generally make Brawl good, but I see the biggest buff to Hanzo, who is a poke hero. that actually suggests to me that we would more be in poke land or in dive land to try to control poke. That's what I'd expect. Wouldn't it be funny if we had a Hanzo Torb meta? You've got Hanzo for that powerful poke. You've got Torb to help control the dive threat to control the Hanzos. Wouldn't that be a fun meta? Oh, well. Okay. Why are they buffing Hanzo? We don't know why they're buffing Hanzo. They don't have the greatest balanced grasp of their game, or they're trying to do flavor of the month, or they feel like Hanzo's never been dominant and it's his turn. I would say that they're wrong. Before Goats fully caught on, people played Hanzo very, very heavily, and he hasn't really been made much worse since then. Other heroes have just gotten stronger. He's been made a little worse since then, but he's really never been bad since that rework. There are so many more DPS heroes that are better for buffs than Hanzo. That one hurts. Oh well, that's what we got. That's what we got, guys. That is the patch. I don't have much more to say about it other than I'm disappointed. Yeah. Maybe it won't last long. Maybe we're back to fast patching. Maybe this will happen and then we'll move into, hey, you see a patch every month again. That sort of thing. Maybe this is the beginning of that and we can hope. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have, please feel free to drop a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. If you'd like to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below to see what my rates look like. Those rates have gone up for those that haven't looked recently. They did go up with the new year. Inflation happened. Or if you just want to see what sort of content we're covering, what we're talking about, best way to do that is also to join that Discord. You can become a watcher in there if you like, and you can see what topic we're covering. Are we covering a new patch? Are we talking about kill switches in cars? Are we talking about, oh hey, we've got a map guide that's going on? Whatever you want to be there for or don't want to be there for, best way to see what's going on is to join that Discord and consider becoming a watcher. Thanks guys. See you next time.